Okay. So for those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Maceo Paisley, and I'm here with Lotus Lain. Hello, Lotus.
Hi.
And we have some stuff to talk about today. This is a web series and a coming soon podcast called No Pressure, No Shame, sponsored by myself. I just wanted to talk about sex, specifically with Black women, women of color, to unpack different experiences and give people a platform to ask other people with different experiences how they make sense of the world of sex and romance and dating and everything that includes that. You're somebody that I came across on another YouTube video, and you were going at it like with some
Uh-oh.
pictures. And
I already know which video you're talking about.
and I was like, yo, who is this person? I need this. I need to hear more of this talk, you know. And then I looked you up a little bit, and I saw that you're more active than just a performer. You do all kinds of stuff.
Yes.
So please tell us, you know, in your own words, who you are and what you do.
So yeah, I mean, I always joke and say I'm a fully formed human, but I mean, that's kind of the opposite of what people think of when they think of a sex worker or an adult film star or a porn star or whatnot, which is usually the way a lot of people first associate me with, you know. But I'm also an activist for the performer community and sex workers in general, and an advocate for the, you know, the betterment of our experiences here in the adult industry. And I'm also a writer. So I've done published writing both for the adult industry and the cannabis industry. But, you know, above all that, I'm just like a fun person that loves to enjoy myself. I'm also a mother in real life. So I guess I have that like motherly instinct to try and like improve people's lives and make them live up to their fullest potentials.
Yeah, I love that actually that you mentioned people like to think of you as just like a performer or a sex worker. And obviously you're more than that. But also that's just something that human beings have to deal with. Somebody sees somebody on the street and they're like, oh, she's beautiful or he's fine. And they get trapped into this identity.
Yes.
And you have to like remind people that you're a fully formed human being.
Yeah. I mean, all the time. So yeah, I like to do a little bit of all of my interests that are in any area of the world, whether they're in adult, writing, you know, entertainment. I like to dabble in everything.
So really quick, tell us about what you were up to the past couple days with your sort of radio panelist thing about Black folk or people of color.
Our people of color forum on race relations in the adult industry. So that just that was kind of something I had thought of when I went to one of the recent industry events, and I noticed that they had a panel on how to manage trolls in the industry, like online trolls. But I was really disappointed when I noticed all of the panelists were very beautiful, cis, white, able-bodied people. And then it made me think there's nothing I could learn from them about how to deal with trolls, because the type of trolls I deal with as a Black woman are going to be exceptionally more different and degrading. The kind of trolls fat people will experience are going to be different. The kind of trolling trans people are going to experience is going to be different. The kind of trolling disabled people is going to experience is going to be way different. So I was just really disappointed in the fact that there wasn't more diversity in the representation on that panel, which made me think, you know, there's a broader conversation to be had about the way we approach race or diversity in our industry. So I partnered with my counterpart, Riley Reyes, who had just taken a panel at, what is it, South by Southwest in Atlanta. She had just taken the panel there on white people unpacking their racism or unpacking ways they may uphold racist systems, and she wanted to host that in the industry at the same time that I would host an open forum for people of color to kind of have our space where we can air out our experiences that we've had, whether they be like racially motivated in a like purposeful way or whether they were inadvertently done towards us with people not knowing. And then besides just kind of airing out our grievances and talking and complaining, we also wanted to come up with specific asks, not just for our white counterparts in the industry at large, but asks for ourselves as a community of people of color in the industry. Like, what what do we actually want? And with those asks, what are we hoping to achieve in the industry? So I think it was a really good meeting.
Right. I love it. So that's actually one of the things that we wanted to talk about today is power and power dynamics in the industry, right? So you guys are dealing with,
Hey guys, I'm sorry that you're hearing the sounds on the stereo. It's my fault. I'm not technically advanced. I don't know how to do whatever you guys are asking me, so sorry.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Like I turned the volume down on my phone, but I still hear it, so I can't further do what you're asking me because I've done it. Sorry.
Right. Yeah, we'll try to make sure at least that the recording when we upload it is pretty good. All right. So you guys are all dealing with, you are dealing with audiences, you're dealing with studios and the business side of things, you're dealing with each other. When you think of, oh man, yeah. When you think of, power and justice in your industry, where are you actually devoting most of your attention towards when you say advocacy?
What do you mean my attention? Like performers or?
Right. Like who
am I hoping to influence?
Right. Who are you hoping?
Industry decision makers. Performers can't really do anything other than changing the culture and how we deal with each other. The power is not there. We're trying to change the minds of the people that are in power. So it would be like producers, production companies, booking agents, casting agents, things of those people of those natures. We're trying to influence them.
And what do you need, or what do you want the audience to know about this fight or this dialogue that they can support?
I think that the best thing that audiences can support is we're trying to just enhance the diversity of what you see on screen. So one of the things I notice is people will inadvertently cast an all-white cast without even thinking that it's not racist, they're not initially thinking they're being racist, but just by virtue of having an all-white cast doesn't really represent like the reality of the way people have sex. People don't just have sex with white bodies and white bodies, or black bodies and black bodies, or only black males and white females. People have diverse sex. And I just think that the industry needs to represent that, because as a whole, and not by anything that we have decided on our own, we are people's sexual education. They don't have very solid examples of sex until they see things in porn most times. And when porn is reinforcing stereotypical racist kind of tropes, or even just a lack of diversity, that doesn't make people of color feel desirable in a real way, or even makes us feel like we are a taboo. So
absolutely. Okay, that's good to know.
These are different questions.
No, yeah, I mean, so tell us, what is it when you talk about your experiences, people of color, what is it like, for Black women or Black people in the entertainment industry?
Hi, Black people, you funny. I think honestly, it's kind of difficult, because at the same time that we're tokenized and commodified, we're also glorified and exoticized. And then we're told that there's nothing that can be done to change the status quo. So we're very much in a curious position of being very valued and necessary for certain types of product, that being interracial content. But then at the same time, we're not considered a default person, in the sense that if you do a scene with a boy and a girl, you'll think of a white boy and a white girl. But if it's gonna be a black, you have to identify, oh, this black person is fucking this white person. We can't just be a person. I get it! Live in the echo, sorry.
Yeah, we'll make sure that we send the link out, and then they can maybe check it out after.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so they want to label you as specifically Black. You can't just be hot
a person. Yeah, a hot
person.
girl. It can't just be a hot girl or a fine ass dude. It has to be a fine ass black dude or a big booty black chick. And that's the thing too, as a black chick, we are expected to have big booties. We're expected to have this stereotypical body type, which is not a black body type. You know, there's Latinas with big booties, there's white girls with big booties, there's all types of peoples of various races that have big booties, but we're categorized, like for instance, me, I don't have the biggest butt, so it's like, oh, well, you can't twerk, you can't make a black video.
Right.
And so we're kind of defined by our blackness, but not by our definition of blackness. We're defined by an outsider's definition of blackness.
Right. A really like narrow, superficial version of what blackness is. Exactly. That then people go out into the world and they think, okay, yeah, where's the big
where's the twerking, you know, where's the booty shaking? Like all of that's supposed to be happening, right? That's what they assume.
Right. So
there's literally no way to turn this volume down on this phone.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Okay, so when you deal with that, how do we fix that? Do we like get different labels on the content? Do we, I
think definitely that's one place to start, is different labeling on the content. You don't have to rely on old racist stereotypes and tropes or phrasing. On top of that, that comes from people in the behind the scenes areas. So whether it's like the people labeling the DVDs, the caption makers on the websites, or whoever that is that's writing up that copy of language, that they aren't aware that they're reinforcing the negativity that we have to experience on a physical level.
Right. So do you think that the industry in general, and then we'll move on to this last one, is still trying to catch up with some of the conversations that have already happened, like elsewhere in the social world and in politics?
Say it again. I'm sorry.
Like, do you think that the industry is still trying to catch up with some of the progress that's maybe been made in other areas?
Yeah, totally. And that's what's weird, is we are ahead in many ways. For instance, we're very ahead in the way that LGBTQIA bodies are represented. There's a lot more diversity with trans bodies in porn. As far as queer sex acts are being more depicted. However, we're so far behind on the diversity with racial equity and the way we deal with race. Like, we're so afraid to deal with it that right. There's sometimes even a backlash with me creating this forum, because people are like, like, why are you doing this? Why are we addressing this? There isn't a problem.
Right. It's because they don't have a problem, right?
Yes, that's the sad part, is the controversial side only came from a certain demographic of a certain age group of a certain color, which was so incredibly telling that I don't feel like I even have to say it out loud.
Right. All right. So I'm gonna hop off on the Instagram, and I need you to join me back in because my app crashed. Okay.
Okay.
But we're still good.
It's hot in my office. Whew. Okay. So continue. I can still hear you on the computer screen.
Okay. So basically the other question is, let's talk about those positives, right? What are the positives? What is it that people should be taking away from the porn industry? Like, how can they learn? You guys are educators. Wait, you got to turn back towards me too, because I'm over on here.
There we are.
Oh, now okay. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, I was waiting until you came back. I was like, oh, there you are. All right.
Okay. So tell me what are the positives? What can people pick up from the porn industry, right? Like, you said there is progress. You're ahead in certain ways. Talk a little bit more about where you're ahead.
Yeah, so I do think that we're ahead in representing unique partner pairings. So I'm not going to say relationships, because porn is not relationships. Porn is sexual partnership. So as far as like what I was saying with LGBTQIA people being more further represented, when I was younger, before I got into the porn industry, I would see content videos with trans women, and they were only with cis hetero men. So in my mind, I didn't even think that trans women were something I had access to.
Mm.
Or I didn't even think that was something I could be attracted to. I didn't even think it was for me until getting into porn and doing scenes where there's trans women and cis women together. Then I realized, okay, this is a possibility. You know, this is an outcome. I can be attracted to them. And I think that that's what porn does for a lot of people. A lot of people I knew growing up, we grew up in like very cis heteronormative societies where people are conservative. So we grow up feeling attracted to the same sex or different types of people or bodies or whatever. And there's no way to turn down the volume. Get over it. Watching porn scenes and seeing girls with girls for the first time or seeing group scenes with people, that's what made me realize that my thoughts weren't strange, you know? I started seeing other people and then I was like, oh, okay, these thoughts I have are actually true. They're possible.
Right.
Thank you for understanding. We're going to try and fix the sound later. I don't know. Because I'm not the technical person, but maybe you guys should take it up with Instagram because like I totally didn't create this app. I'm just on it like you.
All right. Yeah. So you're digging in and you're learning things there too. Unique partner pairings, LGBTQ. Let's talk about pleasure a little bit. Like when you think about those people who are in those conservative areas, right? And you know, have you heard anything about, you know, what they're learning and like pleasing themselves or in finding out what they like through porn that?
Yeah, because I think people that come from like less diverse communities, they, you know, sometimes they don't even see Black people around them. Sometimes they don't see trans people around them. Sometimes they don't see bisexual people other than the feeling that they have themselves. So I think porn in a way can validate those feelings for a lot of people. Me as a performer inside of porn, the thing that I can say one of the positives that's really helped me with is like defining my own boundaries. I'm really, really good at saying no now. I'm really, really good at saying what I want and what I like now. Yeah.
And this is how your life has changed actually in your own life from when you started. Okay,
yes.
Great.
Yeah. Not just like sexually knowing how to say no, like knowing how to say no if like someone wants me to move and I'm comfortable where I'm at. No, I don't have to move. I'm comfortable. You move. You know, I don't feel compelled to be compliant.
Right.
Like the way so many girls are trained to be in society. We're trained to be, you know, easy, comforting, compliant. So when you say no, you're being hard. You're being a bitch. You're being definitive, and I am whatever, you know, like I'm comfortable with that now. And I used to not be comfortable in that way. And I think porn has really helped me because we're navigating our bodies. We're navigating consent with every motion that we do. If you want to touch this person's thigh, like you give them a look or you ask them or, you know, so in that way, it's really helped me know exactly what I want and to define it or to define exactly what I don't want.
Yeah, right on. Do you have any, you know, tips or advice for people who might be, you know, who might have trouble distancing themselves from shame or owning their own pleasure in the way that you kind of talked about?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I simply reject shame. It's something I grew up with. Just being a kid and being a girl, you know, shame is implanted into you. And as I felt the effects of shame and how they limited me and restricted me from like self-expression, I just rejected it. Because living in shame, you're like living for the thoughts and approval of others. And as though it really affects your happiness. I don't know. It just didn't, you know, I just really had to assess like if other people's thoughts made me happy and they didn't. So I love how the sound is like literally the only thing people talk about. Like,
right. Yeah. That's because the Instagram experience is gonna be one thing.
Email Instagram because I didn't create the app, you guys.
But when we edit when we edit our version, it'll be clean, so it's all good.
So
it's just
Yeah, like to me, shame is just self-doubt, and I choose not to doubt myself. So I would tell other people, like, you can choose self-doubt and you can choose shame, or you can choose to believe in yourself and like let go of shame. I choose to live without shame. So yeah.
And is part of that realizing that, there's something honest about what you like and
Yeah.
that's okay and stuff like that?
Yeah, you have to be honest with yourself, and that's, I think, where living without shame comes from. People live in shame because they're afraid to face reality. They have the reservations, they don't want to be honest with themselves. Being honest with themselves, or accepting if you're a man that's bisexual or something, because that's something I deal with a lot because of the kinds of videos and content that I make. I do bisexual videos. I do videos where I peg men. So a lot of my fans are guys in that area that, they'll DM me or send me messages and approach me and be like, well, your videos help me come out, or your videos help me be okay with myself, because I realized that girls will still like guys like that. And let me just tell you guys, there's a lot of girls that would like guys that are bisexual or that are into pegging. So many more than you would think. Like, so many more than you would think. It is an epidemic that you guys aren't giving the booty up. Just saying.
And actually, that's actually a great point, because part of it there is also homophobia on the men and the women's side as well.
Yes, it is.
Right? And so if a woman might enjoy that and brings it up, and then the guy's like, nah, I'm not gay, I wouldn't dig that. There's that side. But then there's also him saying to his partner, hey, babe, I would like to try this. And she's like, well, does that mean you're gay? You're going to leave for a man?
Yeah, I've heard that from so many men, where they try and open up with their partners, and then they're like, oh my God, that means you're gay. Oh my God, that means you're always going to want dick. Oh my God, I'm never going to be enough for you. And it's like, it's just sad, because if girls could understand that guys that are into like anal play or bisexual or whatever are just the same way as girls that like girls but like guys, like, why is it that girls are allowed to be bisexual and fluid but guys are not? As much as we're different, we're so much the same. I know how sensitive men can be, because I've been in a place where I allow men to be sensitive and open with me, and a lot of women don't, because they've been trained by society to only want a masculine, tough, strong dude. So once a guy is opening up to them, they see that as feminine. They see that as a negative. And I think that's what also leads to so many disillusioned people in the sex and dating world, because people are just afraid to be themselves, quite honestly.
And do you think that part of it, because so much of the labeling around porn and sex is like fetishized, that it always makes whatever you like kind of seem like it's strange?
Do I think porn makes things fetishized and seem strange?
Yeah, do you think it's something that you think like seeing it means that, hey, this is something that's out there, people like this, you don't have to be weird, you don't have to see yourself as weird or different, this is just what you like, it doesn't have to be labeled as strange?
Yeah, I do think that porn is able to do that. I mean, look at what's been going on with like ass eating lately. That used to be one of the most extreme taboo fetishes, and now that's like regular oral sex these days. So I do think it's able to like normalize those kinds of activities if you're into different kinds of things. Even nowadays, recently, like everybody's been getting into piss play, which literally came out of nowhere. But I mean, like, there's a lot of performers that are into it, and I think seeing other performers be okay with piss play, and it doesn't have to be in a fetishized, super high BDSM environment, that has made other performers feel comfortable being like, well, yes, I have a piss play fetish too. When before that used to be also on the extreme level of fetish.
Right. So things move
like that was next to scat, which is shit.
Right. So things start to move into more acceptable as people see it. I love that. So let me switch a little bit more to the industry. What do you think is the industry's responsibility to audiences and to workers? Maybe that's two questions, but
Quite simply, the industry's responsibility to audiences is to entertain with sex. We don't have a responsibility to do anything else, because we're not a governmental body or a nonprofit organization or a we're not something like that where you can expect more from us. What you can expect is what you're getting. Sexual entertainment. What I would like to say that I would like to expect from the industries that regulate or facilitate porn, such as Google with their search engine SEO type stuff, is they can make free porn a little less accessible, since that seems to be the framework of so many people's issues with porn, is that it's too readily available and it's too free, and tube sites make it too available. Well, how are people finding those tube sites? On Google.
Right.
And how easy does Google make those sites? So whose fault is it that porn is so easily acceptable or accessible in a non-paid manner?
Right.
There's that. So I really want people to start thinking and shifting their idea of where the responsibility lies for access to porn.
Right.
There's that. That's not our responsibility. That is the responsibility of the powers that control apps, SEO engine stuff, and Google search engine type things. What I think the porn industry's responsibility to the workers of the industry is to conduct business with, ethical responsibility. And that's it. Conduct business in an ethical manner. Maybe when the porn industry first started in the 70s, early 80s, it wasn't as ethical as possible. It was like the least ethical. It was like, underhanded. And then slowly throughout the years, we're getting to a place of like more organization, more ethical business practices and standards. And I think that's where we need to keep heading.
Right.
Like we are a wild, wild west type industry, but it doesn't mean that we can't unionize, organize, and become something that's more responsible in the way that it treats all workers that are participating in the system. Right on.
And then let me ask you, what do you say to those people who are, off judging, porn, adult entertainment, for those people that have a problem with it, what is your sort of message to them about, like why it matters and why it shouldn't be silenced, and why maybe even as their teenager starts to explore or whatever, like why they shouldn't freak out,
Right. I guess the way I would think of things is like, look, porn is sexual entertainment. And why are we okay as a society with violent entertainment, which is hateful and hurtful and painful, but not sexual entertainment, which is, fun, uplifting, get you horny in a good, exciting mood. Also, we as humans, we are of sex. I just don't understand the fundamental demonizing behind like hating sexual entertainment when we are creatures of sex. And I know that so many people think that sex and sexual relations need to be limited to loving relationships, but I would argue that that's a fetish in itself. Monogamy and that kind of lifestyle, to me, that's a lifestyle that I can't define, that I can't understand either, much like I'm sure people in cis heteronormative monogamous relationships can't define my kind of lifestyle where I like to have sex for pleasure and enjoyment. Sex to me is like a deep conversation with a friend. At the end, we know each other a lot more than we did before, and we've shared stuff that's deep. And it may not be words and anecdotes the way people have conversations, but you just made me come right there, and you're looking me in the eyes, and you didn't let go, and you let me have that. Thank you. That's deep, And I just think that the people that are against porn, when they have a problem with it, I would say that they have deeper problems with intimacy. Intimacy isn't just relationships that are like male-female relationships. Intimacy can be on a friend level or just on a physical level. And I just feel like we're a society that is too we're too open to accepting acts of violence on screen rather than acts of love and like expressions in that manner. Because even though porn isn't like love making, it is an expression of love. Like you're loving on someone else's body, you're appreciating it, you're pleasuring it. you
You
know?
have adults performing and participating in consensual acts of pleasure
Right.
in the way that they define versus
Yeah.
an explosion or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, why is it okay to like put an explosion in a movie, but it's not okay to show someone like, I don't know, sucking someone's titties? That's like over the top, you know? But at the same time, how is giving another human pleasure over the top as opposed to beating the shit out of another human for the sake of sport?
Right. So we have to find that double standard.
Yeah, I see too many double standards in the way society demonizes one act of physical interaction, but then glorifies another act of physical interaction. And we choose to glorify the physical interactions that hurt the other person.
Yeah.
Boxing, UFC, football, shit like that. But if you're a porn person and you make someone come, oh my God, you are the worst person in the world.
Yeah.
How?
Right.
I don't subscribe to that.
I do not subscribe to that either. So look, we're wrapping up here. I don't want to take too much of your time. I know you're a busy person. You are hard to get a hold of. You made me work for it. I love it.
But you love how I call you out on Facebook, right?
Oh yes, I love that.
I'm a little hidden avatar on Facebook.
Yeah, that was great. So check it out. Message to, who. Oh, this is a great question. I was going to say message to anybody out there. If you have a quick question, go ahead and type the question. But Lotus, there is a question that just came up. Do you think we will get on Europe's level of treatments towards sex workers?
Well, here's my question before I answer that question. What do you think Europe's level or treatment of sex workers is? Because what I understand from my European sex worker friends, porn performer friends, is it's not much different than here in the US.
I think it's a utopia over there, but
that's why there's like pause and silence, because I'm like, how do I phrase this?
That's always greener on the other side.
Right. I mean, I have a friend that's a Black performer over there that literally had like an actual Nazi on set, a German Nazi on set.
Okay.
That was like,
I think they were talking specifically about healthcare and some of those workers' rights.
Also healthcare. I don't honestly want to be on Europe's level. According to my friend that worked in Europe, they have clinics there that have different varying requirements that they, testing requirements in order to perform. I've seen pictures of doctors not using gloves. I've seen urine samples with no lids on them. I don't know what you think about European healthcare, but what I think about it seems to be different, and I wouldn't want our American counterparts to I want I want them to be on our level.
Right. Grass is always greener, right? What we're going to hear is that it's better. And then over there, we got some things that are better.
Right. And because there's like a language discrepancy, and there's not across the board, like, European testing center. It's like, oh, in Budapest it's this, in France it's this, in UK and it's this. I will say that I think that the UK system is really good testing system, because I've heard that it's slightly less expensive than ours in America. We pay about $160 per test every 2 weeks. I think I've heard that the European testing system is either less expensive or it's more subsidized through the government. So yeah, and that's how it's less expensive. I'm not sure exactly, but that's the UK's testing system. I have heard is just a little bit more on our level, but maybe it has another feature that makes it a little more beneficial, which might be that.
Awesome. Well, I want to give you, just a couple minutes to, open-ended, like if there's anything we haven't covered that we want to make sure that people know about you, or, where to follow you and your act and your movements, tell us what's going on, so that way we make sure we drop those links when we publish.
Okay. I mean, for right now, you can get more intimate with me on my OnlyFans, which is onlyfans.com/It's Lotus Lain. That's where I talk with people if you want to DM me, and we have little conversations. I'll send all my sexy videos there, sexy pictures. So I don't know if anybody's noticed, but I've stopped posting as many sexy pictures on my Instagram, and that's because Instagram likes to delete us off of the platform for stuff like that. So there's no benefit really other than making myself flagged for deletion. So if you want to see my sexy bikini, underwear, booty pics and videos of me masturbating, having sex with people, doing funny stuff like that, then you're going to have to check out my OnlyFans, and I'll type it in here. As far as Instagram, I mean, if you're following me here, you already know what's up. I try and keep you informed in my daily life, like on my stories with posts, you know, what I'm up to next. Twitter is more like where you can see me just talking about random shit I'm experiencing throughout the day, and promoting my OnlyFans links. So yeah, I don't know what else. Just keep watching me on those two platforms. I always post about what I'm doing.
Right on. And you know what? Well, I'm going to stop the recording on this one.
Okay.